tira te iwi. Ngā lalangi maunga tu te ao tu te po. Ngā lalangi tangata kaheke kangalo. Huri noa I wainga nui a tātou ngā mahu e tanga iho. O te hunga kua whetūlangi tia. Tēnā koutou, kia ora hui mai tātou.
Distinguished guests, thank you for joining us this evening to celebrate excellence in Māori agriculture, horticulture and forestry. Kāti he pōnui kei te haere e karema. It's great to be here in Te Tai Tokerau, and as always this event promises to be an amazing celebration of excellence this year in Māori horticulture. Tonight we celebrate 3 outstanding finalists. Goodness me, this first one, whew, what a name. Mātai Pacific Iwi Collective. Let's give it up for Otama Marere Trust. Ko te tikanga ia, mā tākou tau karanga e hiki ai te tuanui, Ngāti Hene Forestry Trust. I'd now like to hand the mic over to Nukuhia Hadfield, the chair of the Ahuwhenua Trophy Management Committee.
This year marks 93 years of the Ahuwhenua Trophy, a legacy built on excellence, resilience, and the belief that Māori can and will lead in land-based industries. And tonight, in our 3rd horticulture competition, we see that legacy alive and thriving. It is with deep sadness that we acknowledge the recent passing of Homan Tapsell, a valued member of one of our finalist whānau. Homan was the orchard manager for Otama Marere, but he was so much more. A trailblazer, a storyteller, a man who lived many lives before dedicating himself to horticulture. Even in ill health, he stood proudly at the Otama Marere Trust Field Day on April the 2nd, sharing why he loved the whenua and the people he worked alongside. His presence was a gift, his legacy will endure. Our finalists have stepped boldly into this space. Some are new to the industry, others are seasoned, but all have proven that horticulture is not just a viable choice, it is a powerful pathway for whānau prosperity, environmental stewardship, and intergenerational opportunity. And from those who will lead us into the future, we also honour those who laid the foundations in the past. In 1947, Wirimu Ngaira of Waio Te Marama in South Hokianga became the first recipient to bring the Ahuwhenua Trophy to Te Tai Tokerau. A remarkable achievement following his 3rd place entry the year before. His farm was described as a perfectly run establishment. Tonight we are honoured to welcome Wirimu Ngaira's mokopuna to share their story and celebrate the legacy of a remarkable Māori farmer. I close tonight with the famous whakatauki from our Ahuwhenua founder, Tā Apirana Ngata. This whakatauki calls us to stand confidently in 2 worlds, to embrace modern tools and global knowledge, while remaining grounded in the wisdom, identity and spirit of our tupuna. To our finalists in both the Ahuwhenua Trophy and the Ahuwhenua Young Māori Award, you are living this vision. You are showing us what it means to honour the past, thrive in the present and shape the future.
Welcome back everyone. We now move to that time in tonight's proceedings where we honour and indeed celebrate each of the finalists in the Ahuwhenua Trophy competition for horticulture. And now to introduce the Mātai Pacific Iwi Collective, I'd like to welcome forward Glenn Webber to say a few words. Kia ora, Glenn.
Māori horticulture has experienced strong growth in recent years, particularly in kiwi fruit. There is still potential for additional growth in Māori horticulture, and I want to acknowledge in the Aotearoa Horticulture Action Plan that increased Māori participation in high-value horticulture is a key focus area. Thank you, Kate Scott. Turning now to introduce tonight's first finalist, Mātai Pacific Iwi Collective, who export kiwi fruit through Zespri and is Zespri's largest Māori shareholder. I would like to thank Mātai Pacific for entering this year's Ahuwhenua Trophy Award, and I would like to acknowledge that when faced with an extreme weather forecast, they chose to prioritise the safety of participants and cancelled their field day on the 26th of March. To me, this is an expression of manaakitanga. To me, this shows that in this instance, values led their organisation.
Firstly, on behalf of Mātai Pacific, we are delighted and honoured to be included as a finalist in this year's prestigious Ahuwhenua Trophy competition. It becomes a platform to celebrate Māori industry excellence, reinforces relationships in building and showcasing our organisations, learning from each other, growing with each other, but ultimately lifting all outcomes for Māori. Matua Wasi, I'll be honest, if there is a chance we win tonight, Tiaki may need to arm wrestle you for the trophy, or we may have to take you back to Waiariki with us. Our journey towards Ahuwhenua started with a kōrero with Kingi Smiler and Kokalin in Hawaii. I was talking about strategy, about benchmarking, and he said, enter this competition, boy, and you'll learn a few things, not only about what's happening in the industry, but also about yourself. And to that effect, we also acknowledge those that cleared the path. And this is the part of the speech that does matter the most. He kaika kuringa, prosperity comes through the hard work. And the hard work for Mātai starts on the orchard. With recognition comes responsibility, and tonight we accept it. To lead, to lift other Māori growers, to share freely what we have learned, and to leave the path clearer for those behind us, just as those before cleared it for us. Nothing here was built by one. Nothing here will be carried by one. E harau taku toa I te toa takitahi, e ngari anō he toa takitini. Nei rā te mihi ki a koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd now like to invite Minister Buttrick to introduce Otama Māori Veterans.
In 2020, the Ahuwhenua Trophy Excellence in Māori Horticultural category was established, and in part, this reflected the growth in the Māori horticulture in the past decade preceding, focused on the production of high-value fruit for export, particularly kiwi fruit. And this was also an acknowledgement of the long and rich history of Māori horticulture in New Zealand. Otama Māori Trust represents both a modern horticultural operation whose foundations are built on a long history of traditional gardens on whenua Māori. Otama Māori provides many benefits also to the local community, its owners and their descendants, such as grants to the Whakaui Marae, riparian plantings by the Kaituna River and dune restoration at Makatu, and education scholarships and grants for Kamatua and Tangihanga. In short, Otama Māori is a modern, well-run horticultural enterprise with a long history, a valued part of the community, and a very strong contender for the 2026 Ahuwhenua Trophy Excellence in Māori Horticulture Award. So it's now time to present the certificate to the representative of Otama Māori. Can I please ask Petira Tapsell onto the stage.
Kia ora tātou. I wanted to pay respects to my brother, Homan. I mati I ngā wiki pahura kene. He was our inspiration. He was Otama Mariri. There was nothing he didn't know about kiwi fruit. He started off in the Navy. He was a radio mechanician and a diver in the Navy. He went over to Hong Kong and Singapore and he managed orchards. He also starred in a movie with Bruce Lee, The Way of the Dragon. And then he went home back to Makatu and he started working in the kiwi fruit. And then he started up a kiwi fruit gang. And then he thought, oh, I better go and get some qualifications. So he went to varsity and got a horticulture degree. He led us trustees. He decided, he kept saying, this is how you should do it. He was a stubborn prick sometimes. You know, that was my brother. Thank you all for coming here. No, koutou katoa. Mai ngā kokona e whā o te motu. Tēnei te mihi atu ki a koutou. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Ko tukuna atu tēnei wāhanga ki tō tātou Minita Minister Pōtaka. Always great to have you here. And he is going to introduce our third finalist, Ngāti Hene Forestry Trust.
It's a privilege to introduce and congratulate the Ngāti Hene Forestry Trust as a finalist in this year's Ahu Whenua Trophy competition. Ngāti Hene Forestry Trust has been shaping opportunities from its whenua for more than 50 years, and since its establishment in 1974 into a significant Māori enterprise managing approximately 6,000 hectares of land centred around Moerewa and Kawakawa. The 6 kiwi fruit orchards that it owns in Kirikiri are a strong example of what can be achieved when people work together, disciplined, determined and focused ambition. And over recent years, productivity, as you heard, has continued to grow significantly, performing above regional averages. The willingness to support collective success, a hallmark of strategic Māori leadership, but also in light of the report, the Bell Report for Horticulture New Zealand, which has recorded a 50% increase in Māori horticulture land between 2017 and 2024, generating output of over $305 million last year. As we know, when Māori land succeeds and when the Māori economy succeeds, New Zealand succeeds. I always talk about the mahi that you all do as part of the ohanga and the oranga o te ao Māori. But it's a Matua Pita and the Forestry Trust demonstrating what is possible when you have both commercial discipline, cultural identity and intergenerational thinking working together. Without further ado, I'd like to invite the Matua Pita Tipene to the stage, the Ngāti Hene Forestry Trust. Tēnā koe, tēnā tātou katoa.
We are doing our best to see the dreams and aspirations of our aunties and grannies, Rina Shortland, Wasi's mum, Hare Waiyomio, all of those who have sadly passed on, notwithstanding all of the shareholders who are in this whare, the Matty Browns and all of the shareholders and the people of Ngāti Hene. In 2010 and 2011, kaupapa was prosecuted through the Waitangi Tribunal, through the judge who's sitting over there, Craig Coxhead, that the hapu of Ngāpuhi have never ceded their sovereignty to the Crown. In 2014, Judge Coxhead, who was warned that his decision could be career-ending, came back and upheld that case. So when we talk about sovereignty, at a time where Te Tiriti o Waitangi he whakaputanga is being challenged heavily through this coalition government, we have to take sovereignty within our own hands. And the part that I challenge the hapu and the iwi of Tai Tokerau is that while we focus a lot on political sovereignty, we do not focus enough on economic sovereignty or food sovereignty. Because Ngāti Hine Forestry Trust is only one trust in Ngāti Hine and one Māori trust in the whole of Tai Tokerau and obviously throughout the country. And the time is coming where economic sovereignty is being put forward into this country to take it forward to the Tiriti o Waitangi that was envisaged starting on the 6th of February 1840. And nothing is going to stop that. As we approach the bicentennial of He Whakaputanga in 2035 and the bicentennial of the signing of Te Tiriti o Waitangi in 2040, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou.
To support our ministers with a waiata, I would like to welcome TPK and MPI to the stage. It is now time for the presentation of the Ahu Whenua Young Māori Grower Award. And as we all know, this award is designed to recognise our up-and-coming young Māori in the farming and horticulture sectors. Please give a massive round of applause for Larissa Wooding Ngata, Robert John Manuel, and Terina Joe. Ladies and gentlemen, for the big moment, the announcement of the winner of the Ahu Whenua Young Māori Grower for 2026. And to do this, I'm handing it over to Sonia Rimene from our Kaitautoko Tuatahi Te Tumu Paeroa, Wati Te Pakipaki.
Earlier this year, it was a pleasure for Te Tumu Paeroa to support the first ever, as Mātai presented, Ahu Whenua Alumni Wānanga, bringing together former finalists to reconnect with each other, learn from each other, and be strengthened through those shared experiences. For our young finalists, manaakitanga is something that comes naturally to them. They are, as Charles said, the tini mokopuna, our next leaders. You descend from a long line of innovators, entrepreneurs, horticulturalists, agriculturalists, and ancestors who work the whenua. Whatever the result, tonight, with growers of the calibre of Larissa, of Robert, and of Terina, the horticulture sector is in good hands. Without further ado, I'm delighted to announce that this year's Young Grower of the Year is, drum roll, glasses are fogging up, woo! Terina Joe, woo!
I'd like to thank Sam, Mateo Pete, Erin and Matu for their guidance and support this week. And to my fellow peers, Lois and Rob, it has been a pleasure going through this journey with you. I want to thank Ngāti Paurita, co-workers, managers, trustees, for the mentorship I have received over the years. I also want to thank my husband, Puiai, my siblings, my friends, and my whānau for their constant support in me. Finally, I'd like to thank 3 beautiful wahine who are in attendance tonight, that being my mother, Terry Lee, and her 2 sisters, my aunties, Taryn and Teresa. These 3 wahine have been pillars throughout my life, and I would not be where I am today without them. Kia ora.
So now to the big moment, without any further ado. Minister Pōtaka, please, tikina te kōpaki.
Look, ahu whenua, as I've mentioned before, is a way of life. It dictates and demands culture, commerce, courage, commitment and confidence, not only for ourselves, but also for our tamariki mokopone and our mokomoko. And the winner of the Ahu Whenua Trophy 2026, all of you who have entered this competition, all tama mārere, Ngāti Hine Forestry Trust and Mātai Pacific, are winners, your young people, your kaimahi, your owners, your shareholders. The winner this year, Te Aki Hunia, Mātai Pacific Iwi Collective. Nau mai, hara mai.
Some notes from 3 years ago I was trying to dig up to try and see if we can use them again. But look, we do want to acknowledge those that aren't here. You know, we've lost some huge leaders within Te Ao Māori over the last month, you know, and it's a real reality check when you hear about what they've done. And what you think about what we've done as Mātai Pacific in a relatively short amount of time, it's pretty good, but it doesn't compare to those rangatira who we've lost. I'll always remember Homan because he was one of the few on our board that was in the orchard on the land under the vines, doing the real mahi. You know, and his humility and his guidance that he shared with us from the outset of Māori kiwifruit growers is something I'll never forget. So nei rā ngā mihi kia koutou katoa. I want to acknowledge Fred Cookson and Nelson Meha for their leadership and their support to me in particular, and the wisdom that they bring. You know, he momo tērā mātauranga. And that comes with time, it comes with experience, and often it's shaped by the lessons of our kaumata. You know, and one of my favourites was my Uncle Waka Vuko, who many of you know. And my Uncle Waka, he loved these kinds of hui. Loved to dress up, loved to say a few words, he'd quote a bit of Shakespeare, and then he'd sing a waiata that no one else knew except for him. But I often think of him in the context of kiwi fruit and what we've done, because before we brought our first orchard, he gave us some advice. I'm pretty sure it was in a putaaki meeting. He'd lean forward and he'd sort of look over his glasses, you know, in a special way, e homa, e homa. And he sort of leaned forward, waiting for some pearls of wisdom to come out, and he'd say, you know, if we want to make this succeed, we need to get some good Pākehās. I'd look around at my uncle Anururangi Hewa, he'd just look around, try not to hear that. My Uncle Charlie will be laughing and giggling. And then he'd repeat it. And because I was the youngest, hey, kao Kau. No, waiho mā mātou i ārehi. And I go, no, we need to get some good pākes. And so when I'd ask him, you know, how high, why? And then he'd say, because when something goes wrong and the shit hits the fan, we can sack them and save ourselves. Now, I'll always remember that advice. Because kei roto I tēnā he momo mātauranga.
Kia ora.
You know, I think what he was saying is that you need expertise that we didn't have. We needed to bring those in and to work alongside us. You know, so Mātai Pacific, we've had some fantastic Pākis work for us. You know, and be part of, an integral part of our whānau. You know, throughout this kaupapa, we all got to support each other. Every one of us at our field days would say lovely words, and then we'd all say something like, it's about the kaupapa, it's not about winning. I don't think we actually believe that last part. Nā ka nui ake au, I tēnei kōrero, ko te tūmanako kia pai tō koutou pō, kia pai tō koutou hoki ngātu ki te kāinga wāhi noho rānei mā te atua koutou manaki. Tia ki ngā wā katoa, tēnā tātou katoa.
People putting up their hands to go into competitions, you've got to take your portai off, your head off and say, hey, we acknowledge you for giving it a go. But they're in it to win it for their own people, for their descendants and for the people that come in, and also engaging in employing jobs and creating opportunities for businesses to feed into them. So they're not there just by themselves, isolated. They're part of a little ecosystem of economic and cultural mahi and economic and cultural advancement and economic and cultural empowerment. And that's what I'm all about, te oranga me te ohanga o te ao Māori, the health and wealth of the Māori world.
I think what they've shown us for Te Ao Māori is that it is a really good space to get into if you have got the land and the climate, and there is different partners that you can work with to be able to achieve what you want to. You don't need to necessarily know everything, because what they've shown is you can go out and you can find that expertise somewhere else, and everybody is willing and wanting to support Māori growth in horticulture.
For us, ahu whenua is always the time to stop, pause and reflect, and then celebrate. So celebrate where we've come from. We're a young organisation that was 8 years young. The tono from Kingi was always to where we Māori that own kiwi fruit orchards, or where we are Māori kiwi fruit organisation. And the Ahu Whenua platform is definitely fed into who we really are with our values, what's important to us, our people, being a kaitiaki, but ultimately providing prosperity for our generations to come.